I used to think I had the perfect life, a loving wife, a beautiful home, and friends who were like family. But one day, that perfect picture shattered into a million pieces. It all started with a simple text message, one not meant for me. It was from a man I'd never heard of, and its contents made my blood run cold. My wife, the woman I had built my life with, was having an affair. My first instinct was denial. This couldn't be happening. Not to us. We were happy, weren't we? But the evidence was undeniable. Late-night work meetings, sudden guardedness with her phone, a new scent on her clothes that wasn't mine. The puzzle pieces clicked into place, forming a picture of betrayal that I couldn't ignore. The man she was seeing wasn't a stranger. He was one of my closest friends. The kind of friend you'd trust with your life. The kind you'd have as your best man. The double betrayal felt like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me. I confronted her. The fight was everything you'd imagine. Tears, shouting, accusations. But through the chaos, one thing became clear. There was no remorse. Only excuses. She said she felt neglected, that I was too focused on my career. She twisted the narrative until I almost believed it was my fault. But deep down, I knew that was just a way for her to escape her own guilt. Nothing can justify breaking a vow like that. Nothing. The days that followed were a blur of pain and confusion. I felt like I was drowning. I needed support, so I turned to the people I trusted most. Our mutual friends. I thought they would be my lifeline. I was wrong. When I told my best friend, Mark, what had happened, his reaction wasn't what I expected. Instead of outrage on my behalf, there was an awkward silence. He mumbled something about how these things happen and that there are two sides to every story. Two sides. I was stunned. It felt like he was defending her. Then I spoke to Sarah, my wife's best friend and someone I'd known for years. She sighed and told me I should try to forgive her. "You guys have so much history," she said. "Don't throw it all away. Throw it away." I wasn't the one who threw it away. The more people I talked to, the more I heard the same tune. Don't be rash. Think about what you'll lose. Maybe you can work it out. No one seemed to see the black and white betrayal. They saw an inconvenience, a disruption to our comfortable social circle. It was my sister who finally opened my eyes. She listened patiently, then said something that hit me like a ton of bricks. "They're not your friends. They're her friends. They're just acquaintances who found you convenient." She was right. These people I'd spent weekends with, celebrated holidays with, and trusted with my deepest thoughts. They weren't on my team. Their loyalty was to the couple, to the social structure we had built. My pain was secondary to maintaining the status quo. The moment of absolute clarity came at a dinner party we were supposed to host. I decided to go ahead with it, but alone. I wanted to see, face to face, who my real friends were. As people arrived, the atmosphere was thick with tension. They'd exchange awkward glances with me, then huddle in corners, whispering. They'd offer pathetic platitudes like, "Hope you're holding up, man." But their eyes were empty of any real sympathy. The most shocking part was seeing how they treated my wife when she unexpectedly showed up. She walked in as if nothing was wrong, a sad, dramatic look on her face, and they flocked to her. They hugged her. They comforted her. They listened intently as she spun her tale of a lonely wife and a neglected marriage. They nodded sympathetically. In that moment, I wasn't just betrayed by my wife, but my best friend. I was betrayed by every single person in that room. They chose her side, the side of the affair, because it was easier. It required nothing of them. Watching them coddle the person who had destroyed my world was strangely liberating. It was like a thick fog had lifted. These people were never my friends. They were just part of the scenery of a life that was, in many ways, a complete illusion. They were a fake, their concern was fake, and their friendship was a lie. The pain was still there, but it was now mixed with a sense of righteous anger and, surprisingly, relief. I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to maintain these shallow relationships. That night, I walked out of my own house and didn't look back. I left them all in their little bubble of hypocrisy. The weeks that followed were hard. I had to rebuild my life from scratch. I had to find a new place to live, navigate the legal mess of a divorce, and, hardest of all, learn to be alone. I lost my wife, my home, and what I thought was my entire social circle in one fell swoop. But here is the thing about hitting rock bottom. There is nowhere to go but up. I started focusing on myself. I reconnected with hobbies I'd let slide. I started hiking, spending hours in nature, just me and my thoughts. It was therapeutic. I joined a gym, not to get a revenge body, but to channel my anger and frustration into something positive. With every pound I lifted, I felt a little bit of the weight on my shoulders lift too. I also reconnected with old friends, the ones who had drifted away over the years. Real friends. When I told them what happened, their reaction was immediate and visceral. That's horrible. Man, how can we help? There was no judgment, no platitudes. Just genuine support. They didn't try to fix it. They just sat with me in my pain. They reminded me what true friendship felt like. Slowly, I started to heal. The revenge I craved wasn't about hurting my ex-wife or her new partner. I realized the best revenge wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet. It was living a good life. It was finding happiness and peace without her. It was proving to myself and to the world that my worth was never tied to her or to that fake life we had built. One day, about a year later, I ran into Mark, the old friend who had told me to see both sides. He looked uncomfortable. He asked how I was doing. I just smiled. A genuine, happy smile. I told him I'd never been better. And it was the truth. I was healthier. I had a new circle of authentic friends, and I was pursuing a passion project I'd always dreamed of. The look on his face, a mixture of shock and, I think, a little bit of regret, was more satisfying than any angry confrontation could ever have been. He told me, hesitantly, that my ex-wife and the guy she cheated with didn't last. Apparently, a relationship built on lies and betrayal isn't exactly a solid foundation. Shocker, right? He said their breakup was messy and that most of the old friend group had been forced to choose sides all over again. The perfect social circle had imploded. I felt a brief flash of satisfaction, but mostly I just felt pity for them. They were still stuck in that toxic cycle, while I was free. This whole ordeal taught me a powerful lesson. Sometimes, the worst thing that can happen to you is actually the best thing. Losing everything forced me to see what was real and what was fake. It exposed the superficiality of the world I was living in and gave me the chance to build a new life, an authentic one, from the ground up. It taught me the true value of loyalty and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who will lift you up, not just tolerate you when things are easy. If you're going through something similar, if your world has been turned upside down by betrayal, please know this. It hits better. The pain you feel is valid, but it won't last forever. Use it as fuel. Use it to cleanse your life of the fakeness and build something real and beautiful in its place. Focus on your own growth, your own happiness, because the best revenge isn't getting even. It is moving on and building a life so good that you won't even have time to look back. Your happiness is the one thing they can never take from you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to share, but if it helps even one person feel less alone, then it's worth it. If you've been through something like this, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's support each other. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about overcoming life's biggest challenges. See you next time.